Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I just want to quickly go through a story time on how we found out our son was deaf. So generally I think it's in every single country where when your child is born you get their hearing tested. I think it's at the hospital or a few weeks later you can get the ears tested. And when I had my son back in 2021, at that time I didn't really think much of it because I knew that from both sides of the family we didn't have any issues with anyone being deaf or anything related to that. I mean, obviously my grandparents, when they got old, they lost their hearing, but that's like a natural stage of hearing loss. Anyway, so I didn't necessarily get the test done and I didn't think much of it. But 3 months went down the line and he was 3 months old, and I noticed that he didn't get scared. Like, he didn't get startled, he didn't get a fright, he didn't react to loud noises. And I said to my husband, I think there's something wrong, the fact that he's not responding to any of these loud noises. When he sleeps, he would sleep through the entire night. He didn't wake up crying. He woke up obviously to be fed, but not in any other way of a loud noise. Then we went to an audiologist and they did a few tests there in a booth, but they said that they could not pick up anything because it was just a normal hearing test. Then we had to make an appointment to get an actual in-depth hearing test done where they monitor the brain waves when you put hearing within the ears, I think. And from there they had to put him to sleep, they had to sedate him, and he was under sedation for about an hour. And honestly, I was really hoping for the best news when she came out with him, but obviously we got the worst news and found out that he was completely deaf in both ears. I do think that the left ear is worse than the right ear, but either way they're both deaf and he is unable to hear anything at all unless it's a very, very loud noise. So like a truck hooter right next to you is what he would be able to hear. From there we went to a specialist, an ear, nose and throat specialist, and he explained to us what the procedure would be and how we would be going forward with it. Obviously at that time we found out about the cochlear implants and that for him to hear something he would need to get the cochlear implants. Then from there we were informed to go to JCIC, and they specialize obviously in cochlear implants and they have speech therapy there, which is AVT certified. And then obviously we tried to get the ball rolling to try and get the surgery done and to find out how long the recovery was and how long the surgery was. But obviously before the surgery they gave us hearing aids and he would wear the hearing aids, I think it was about 3 months or so, with the hearing aids. And I think they were just trying to stimulate the nerves in the ears to see if the sound would come through without having to get the implants. But by the time we had gotten the hearing aids, he was about 6 months. And then by the time the surgery came, he was over 1. So he was a one year and 1 month old when we got the surgeries done. And usually I think in most other countries they do both at the same time, but because of the hospital that we went to, they did not have a high care for the kids. So a pediatrician ward, they didn't have a high care for that. So we had to do 1 ear at a time, which for me was very it was emotionally draining, but also very emotionally hard for me, because I carried him for 9 months, and then because of the mistake that I made and I didn't get his ears tested, I had to sit through 2 surgeries with him and see him go through the pain twice, which was very hard for me. Anyway, when we got the surgeries in November, they managed to switch them on in the beginning of December. It was before Christmas time, but during that time it was very hard for him to keep them on because he didn't really understand what sound was, and he didn't understand what this new thing was. But they explained it to us that for the first month or so, it just sounds like a constant jackhammer within their brain, because their brain needs to try and figure out the different frequencies and the different tones that are coming through the cochlear implant. So for the first, I actually want to say it was very long. For the first 3 or 4 months, he would constantly take them off and not want them on. And obviously the speech therapist and the audiologist, they pushed us to try and keep them on as much as possible so that he could progress as if it was a child with normal hearing. So we pushed and we made sure that he kept the ears on, and now he's doing very well with his ears. He manages to keep them on the entire day, other than when he gets upset or he rolls around or he jumps around, they tend to come off. But he actually comes and he wants you to put them on for him so that he could hear his surrounding noises. He has progressed very well in his speech as well. He is currently at the progress of a 1-year-old speech therapy, speech progress. So I think that would be knowing a certain amount of words but not being able to put them together. So now the fact that he knows a certain amount of words, we are trying to push him to babble sentences together, 1 or 2 words, 2 or 3 words, to put them together so that he can start forming sentences. But obviously when we found out that he was deaf, I told myself that even with the cochlear implants and even with the ability to hear and the fact that he has that opportunity, he is still deaf at the end of the day, and therefore he needs to learn, not needs to learn, but I would prefer him to learn sign language as well. So I am currently learning sign language, and I have obviously progressed further than my son, but I will give my son certain sign languages to do so that it's just easier for me to understand what he wants, because he cannot verbally express what he wants. Therefore, when I teach him the sign for it, he is able to sign it for me so that I understand what he wants. But that is the process so far of what we have gone through. It's not in depth, but it's just a main outline. Perhaps later on with the surgeries and so on, I will explain more in depth about the surgeries. But for right now, I just want to have this on the channel, and then if anyone is interested in hearing more in depth about the entire process, then I will obviously post a video about that as well. So that is just a little story of today. I thought I'd just quickly share that with you guys. And then you guys can obviously like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.